Welcome to the Falmouth Chamber of Commerce.
The Falmouth Chamber is dedicated to working on behalf of our members to make Falmouth a better place to live, work, and conduct business. We are committed to developing the economic, cultural, educational, and civic interests of our community and welcome the support from all organizations to achieve our combined goals. Whether you call Falmouth home, are a summer resident, or a visitor, we hope you take advantage of all that the Chamber has to offer.
Are we ready? I'm going to open the meeting. Do I have you? Come here so I can.
Might not yell at me. Very loud.
Well, he said you have to hold it next to your mouth.
Sit.
I'm going to open the meeting, Mr. Renshaw. Are we ready?
Yes, madam.
Okay, here we go. Good evening and welcome to the meeting of the Falmouth Select Board. It is Monday, July 29th, 2024, and it is exactly 6 o'clock. And at this time, I would entertain a motion to go into executive session to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining with Unit B, various professional staff. There is an error. It is not Communication Officers AFSCME Local 1636. That has been done. Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion amongst the board? Seeing none, all those in favor by roll call, please. Taylor, aye. And the board will return to public session at 6:30. Good evening and welcome to the open session of the Falmouth Select Board. It is Monday, July 29th, 2024. It is exactly 6:34, and the board returned from executive session, having come to an agreement with ASPE Local 1636, Unit B. And I would ask that you please check your cell phones, make sure they're off. And if you are audio or video recording this open meeting, please notify me as chair. Thank you. Chief Laurie?
Detail. Present the color.
Forward, march.
Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chief Laurie for the recognition and swearing in of our police officers.
Good evening, everybody. This is an historic day for the Falmouth Police Department. This morning, we took the 2-hour ride to Andover, and we watched 9 of our recruits graduate from the academy today with this honor guard in attendance, representing your police department and honoring these 9. They'll be starting Wednesday. That brings a total to 19 officers hired and 2 clinicians since September. We have 2 open positions as of July 1st, and I'm pleased to report we have 3 lateral transfer applicants for that. So I'll be before the board in September with hopefully 12 people, 9 academy graduates, and 3 lateral transfers. Exciting times for the Falmouth Police Department. So today, to kind of sum this up a little quicker, I'm going to be calling up all the individual officers that are going to be sworn in today. We will all take our oath together, and then I'll say some closing remarks and let the board get to its business at hand. Anthony DePalmo, please come forward. Anthony was born and raised in Massachusetts. He moved to Arizona and joined the Scottsdale, Arizona Police Department, where he served as a patrol officer and detective for 9 years. Anthony and his young family returned to Massachusetts last year to be closer to their extended family, and he joined the department in January of 2024. Anthony will be pinned by his wife, Shannon. Emily Levins, please come forward. Emily was born and raised on Cape Cod, where she continues to live with her husband and children. Emily joined the Barnstable County Sheriff's Office in 2020 and became a member of the Falmouth Police Department in March of 2024. Emily was recently selected to join our school resource officer team, and she will be pinned by her mother, Elizabeth. Jeffrey Creel, please come forward. Jeff was born on Cape Cod and is a veteran of the United States Army. He joined the Barnstable County Sheriff's Office in 2014 and was a canine officer from 2019 to 2024. Jeff joined the Falmouth Police Department in May, and Jeff will be pinned by his wife, Maddie. The Sheriff's Department is not too happy with me right now, but they're very welcome additions to the department. Eric Foley, please come forward. Eric has served as a municipal police officer or campus police officer in Massachusetts for over 20 years. He has experience as a supervisor and investigator throughout his career. Eric joined the Falmouth Police Department in May, And I just want to point out, he is a former Mashpee police officer. He didn't go back there, he came here. So. Eric will be pinned by his son, EJ. No relation, Patrick Foley. Please come forward. Patrick was born and raised on Cape Cod, where he continues to live with his wife and family. Patrick most recently served as the Deputy Chief of Police for the Berkeley College Police Department and has worked in law enforcement since 2014. Patrick holds a bachelor's degree in police operations and administration and a master's degree in public safety leadership administration. Patrick will be pinned by his wife, Alexandra. To close out the 6 police officers that are being sworn today, I'm asking Richard Heslin to please come forward. Richard is from Chelmsford, Mass. Began his career in law enforcement in 2003. He was most recently an acting sergeant for the Rochester Police Department and has held both investigator and supervisor roles for the LaSalle University Police Department, Babson College Public Safety, and Massachusetts College of Pharmacy, and Health Science Public Safety. Richard holds a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from UMass Lowell and a master's degree in criminal justice from LaSalle University. Richard will be pinned by his wife, Sonia. So, we created 2 additional sergeant's positions today. So our ranks go from 6 patrol sergeants to 8 today. In the future, possibly adding more. 2 of the biggest areas of liability that we face in law enforcement, failure to supervise and failure to train. And we're going to do both of that here in Falmouth. And we're going to do it with the help of these fine sergeants that we're going to be promoting here today. Sergeant Christopher Bartolomeu, please come forward. He's a 20-year veteran of the Falmouth Police Department. He was born and raised in Falmouth and attended Falmouth High School and earned a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. Sergeant Bartolomeu is also a veteran of the United States Army and currently a sergeant first class with the Massachusetts Army National Guard with over 19 years of experience. He's married to Jennifer, has 2 children, Ella and Chris. His biggest passion is his family, especially his daughter's lacrosse and son's basketball games. He credits his wife for supporting the decision to become a sergeant and apologizes for being stuck on shift work again. Touche. The sergeant began his career with the Falmouth Police Department in 2004. Prior to that, he was a correctional officer at the Boston County Sheriff's Department. He attended the 44th MPTC Plymouth Academy. In 2007, he was appointed detective and has served there since that time. In addition to his detective duties, he ran the narcotics unit since 2013 and is recognized as an expert in the narcotics field. He teaches narcotics and other subjects for the MPTC. He's a TASER instructor, DT instructor, Vector Shield, bike team member, SWAT and SWAT boat trained, and Level 4 health and wellness instructor with the MPTC. In addition, he is a staff instructor for the Cape Cod Police Academy. Sergeant David Massey, please come forward. A native of Falmouth and dedicated 16-year veteran of the Falmouth Police Department, graduated from Falmouth High School in 2002. Following graduation, he enlisted in the United States Marine Corps, serving with distinction until 2006. Sergeant Massey joined the Falmouth Police Department in 2008, initially working midnight patrol. In 2015, he was appointed as a detective, a role in which he served diligently for 8 years. Throughout his career, Sergeant Massey has held multiple specialty positions, including serving as a firearms instructor, field training officer, honor guard, veteran affairs liaison, and special response team member. And he has served overseas for this country as in his military role. Sergeant Newton Cardoso, please come forward. Newton is a 9-year veteran of the Falmouth Police Department. He was born in Brazil and moved to Falmouth in 2001. He attended the University of Massachusetts at Dartmouth, where he earned a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. Sergeant Cardoso began his career with the Falmouth Police Department in 2014, initially serving as a dispatcher. In 2015, he was appointed as a full-time police officer, completed his training at the Municipal Police Academy. Over his 9-year tenure with the department, Sergeant Cardoso has distinguished himself in various capacities, including a field training officer, special response team member, sex assault investigator, translator for the Portuguese-speaking community. In addition to his operational duties, Sergeant Cardoso serves as an instructor within the department specializing in firearms, taser, defensive tactics, vector shield, bowler wrap, and health and wellness. Sergeant Cardoso also, so everyone knows, put together our gym downstairs when we redid that at the station. And he will be pinned by his mother, Alusa Binfiglio. Sergeant Joshua Oliver, please come forward. Sergeant Oliver grew up in Acushnet and graduated from Old Rochester Regional Vocational School. He moved to Falmouth after meeting his wife, Kayla, and began working for the Falmouth Police Department in 2005 as a laborer and later as a crew leader. He was hired by the Falmouth Police Department in 2012 after graduating the Municipal Police Academy. He was assigned to midnight patrol. During his tenure with the Falmouth Police Department, he has held multiple specialty positions, including Vehicle Fleet Manager, Co-Chair for the Traffic Advisory Committee. He also is a member of the Mountain Bike Unit, ATV Unit, Community Engagement Team, and Social Media Team. Perhaps most notably, Sergeant Oliver has been one of the primary organizers of the annual Touch a Truck event for Tommy's Place, which raises tens of thousands of dollars each year for the local charity. Just under 60 grand this year, everybody. Sergeant Oliver is currently enrolled at Cape Cod Community College, working towards his associate's degree in criminal justice. He will be pinned by his wife, Kayla, and his children, Mason and Kenzie. I think you can see with all the sergeants that you see before you today, they're all overachievers. You know, they've earned their spot here today, doing a fantastic job for this amazing community. Lieutenant Ryan Hurt, please come forward. Lieutenant Ryan Hurt, a native of Falmouth, has served for 9 years with the Falmouth Police Department. He holds a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from Bridgewater State College and is currently pursuing a master's degree in criminal justice from Anna Maria College. Lieutenant Hurt joined the Falmouth Police Department in 2015 following his tenure with the Suffolk County Sheriff's Department at the National Street Jail in Boston. Upon completing the Municipal Police Academy, he served as a patrol officer for 3 years before being selected as the school resource officer for Falmouth Public Schools. In 2020, Lieutenant Hurt was promoted to the rank of sergeant. Throughout his career, Lieutenant Hurt has undertaken various specialized roles, including sex assault investigator, field training officer, mountain bike team member, investigative support team member, and civil rights officer for the department. Lieutenant Hurt will be pinned by his daughter, Charlotte, with the help of her brother, Connor. Captain Douglas DaCosta, please come forward. Captain Douglas DaCosta is a 33-year veteran of law enforcement. During his career, he has held assignments at various ranks in the Administrative Division, Patrol Division, and Detective Bureau. Captain DaCosta was born and raised in Falmouth and holds a master's degree in criminal justice from the University of Massachusetts. Prior to becoming a Falmouth police officer, Captain DaCosta served 6 years in the United States Army. He has been the recipient of numerous military and department commendations and awards. He will be pinned by Noah, his son. And just to let everybody know, we just received a grant from the state for $250,000 for a body-worn camera program. He's going to manage that program as well as our certification and accreditation program, which is best practices in the Commonwealth. He's doing an outstanding job. I'm proud to introduce my succession plan to you right now. I don't plan on retiring anytime soon, but when I do, you folks are going to be in great hands. And the board will make the decision on how they want to make the next chief's promotion, but I'm telling you, for the next at least 5 years, I'm going to be working alongside him, mentoring him, leading him, coaching him to be a better chief than me. And that I am the last chief that's hired from outside this department. And that is one of my sole goals and missions moving forward. So I would ask Deputy Chief Brian Lowen to please come forward. He was hired by the Falmouth Police Department in 2002. He was promoted to sergeant in 2010, captain in 2020, and deputy chief in 2024. Deputy Chief Lowen has held several specialty positions in his career to include the following: juvenile officer, court officer, detective, drug task force, sexual assault investigator, investigative support team, field training officer, mountain bike officer, and ATV officer. I also want to point out, that's not in this bio, we hired 21 people, and he was our hiring manager through all those processes. Did an outstanding job, outstanding. Deputy Chief Lowen holds a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from Westfield State College and a master's degree in criminal justice from Curry College. Deputy Chief Lowen will be pinned by his daughter, Emily. I would now ask for the clerk to please come forward, and I'm asking everyone in attendance here in uniform to take the oath.
Pretty impressive. Y'all can raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear and affirm. I will faithfully and impartially. Perform all duties incumbent upon me. As stated, rank or position. According to the best of my ability. And understanding. I will support the Constitution and laws. United States of America. Commonwealth of Massachusetts. The Charter and bylaws of the town of Falmouth. Help me God. Congratulations.
If I could have all those that are pinning our offices to please come forward.
Chief Laurie, if there are any children in the hallway that belong to any of the officers, I'd like them to come back in.
Alex, which one is yours?
Both.
Matthew, would you like to use that another passport?
You guys crunched down, that wasn't. Yeah.
Lieutenant Kinsella, you have command.
Officers, guards head, hut. Detail, present, arms. Newly promoted. Warrant, present, arms. Falmouth officers, order, arms.
So I want to thank everyone. I want to thank the board for letting us take up this much time in your meeting. Those here that could forward some of the pictures you took to your loved ones so we can memorialize this, I would appreciate that very much. Today, I'll end where I began. This truly is historic. To watch 9 graduate and then swear in 13 in their various roles is an absolute gift as a temporary caretaker of your department. I was given a charge back in June of last year to make sure that I, as the temporary caretaker, take care of our officers. But I want you all to know how great of a job they're doing taking care of us. And it's an honor to work alongside and lead this amazing group of individuals. With that being said, you are all dismissed.
Certainly is historic for us.
Day that we go back and I get to play again. We have the third thing.
You okay? No, I'm no.
Oh, you have to stay for the.
We here in Falmouth have so much to be proud of, and as we thank Chief Laurie, we thank his staff, and we thank the new officers and the officers that were promoted. I also really want to thank the families who support these officers in doing the work that they do every day. Okay, we're going to move on to announcements. Any announcements from the board?
Yes, Madam Chair. I'd just like to make a announcement. It's more of a comment, follow-up of our most recent meeting, where we changed our informal entertainment policy to a more formal written-down policy. But I told some of my musician friends in town that it's really not a change. It's just putting to paper what was our previous policy. A lot of people were concerned. They read the newspaper, they read Troy's take in the Enterprise as well, and they were concerned that it was a new policy where we were trying to shut down music. It's not the case. It's a work in progress. We're just trying to put things in order so that people have a perspective of what they're working from. Business owners will know what to expect. Residents will know what to expect. It's not perfect, but it's a work in progress, and we hope to refine it as we go forward. But we don't intend for it to make drastic changes to our entertainment scene.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Any other announcements? Okay, we will move into public comment. Public comment may be made on routine matters not on our agenda this evening. Comments are limited to 2 minutes. Please introduce yourself, and since the matter has not been included on the agenda, the Select Board will not participate in any discussion or debate of your topic. Is there anyone here for public comment? Sir, you can go right to that microphone. Sir?
The close fire one.
Yeah.
I'll keep it quick because I have these 2 time bombs with me. My name is Luke. I grew up here, went to school here. My kids go to school here. I was just calling about concern about what Doug Brown had mentioned about this new sound policy. Definitely when I saw the way it was written out, I was really concerned. I thought it left a lot. It made me feel very uncertain about the future of doing live events in town. That policy, that if you can hear it from outside the door or the lot line, to me that basically means anybody could shut down any live event at any time, was the way I read it. And I know we can't get into the nitty gritty of it. This is just a comment. Everybody I know in the entertainment industry does it because they really love it and they feel like they're doing something that they're adding to their community. They're connecting with people. They're offering something to their fellow citizens through putting on music events and live events. It's really risky. There's not much money in it. We just do it because we're passionate about it, and it means a lot to us, and we think we're adding to the culture and the community of our town by having live music events. So I feel like if there's going to be sweeping measures passed, honey, please, sorry. I need a noise ordinance right now for this one. If there's going to be sweeping policies passed, it would be nice if people in the industry were a part of that conversation too. So we understand what's being proposed, and it's not just the people who are complaining about it who want to stop, but it's also the people who want to keep creating it and keep making art are part of the conversation. That's it. I'm going to let you guys go now because these kids are ready to go.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Anyone else here for public comment? Okay, seeing none, we will get into our committee interviews. Interview, vote, and appoint committee member, Waterways Committee. Jim Teege, are you here? You can go. Now you can
Here's
go.
fine, okay. So what sort of thing do you want me to do?
Okay, you don't have to do anything just yet. We have your application. Is there anything that is not on your application that you would like this board to know about you?
Well, I grew up in Falmouth. My father was chair of the Waterways Committee probably 50 years ago. He came to this town because he loved the harbors and the fishing, and he started Green Pond Boatyard, the Clam Shack, bought the Harbor View Fish Market, and it's been such a part of my life, and I've been on that harbor, running boats, sailing boats, and I very much like to have some, you know, all the years I've been doing this, provide some expertise to the committee so that good decisions are made in regards to our treasured harbors and waterways. Thank you.
Great. Any questions or comments for Mr. Teege?
I would just note that we did receive a letter of recommendation from the current chair, Joe Voce, so I think that speaks pretty highly of Mr. Teege.
I say we certainly know Mr. Teachy knows the waterways around the town of Falmouth. I think he'd be a wonderful addition to the Waterways Committee, and I would move the appointment of James H. Teachy to serve a 3-year term on the Waterways Committee. With it.
I'll second Mr. Kelly's motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion amongst the board? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? No, the ayes have it.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for
Bye.
your willingness to serve. Okay, we're going to move into our public hearing. It's 6:59, and we have an application for a one-day entertainment license, Shipwreck, A6 Falmouth Road Race After Party, Shipwreck, the Heights Motel parking lot. Mr. Zelinski for the notice, please.
Madam Chair, revised notice of public hearing. Notice hereby given under Chapter 140, Section 183 Alpha of the General Laws as amended by Chapter 2 Act 2, Shipwreck LLC located at Falmouth, Mass. Has applied for a one-day entertainment license held in the parking lot of Shipwreck Heights Hotel, 3 Grand Ave on Sunday, August 18, 2024, between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. Hearing on the above application will be held at the Senior Center, Old Silver Room, 780 Main Street, 02540, on Monday, July 29th, 2024. Comments may be sent to selectboard@falmouthma.gov, order of the Select Board. Nancy Robbins Taylor, Edwin Second, Douglas C. Brown, Robert Galley, Heather M. Gold.
Thank you, Mr. Zelinski. Mr. Renshaw,
Thank you, Madam Chair. The applicant representative of Shipwreck, Mr. Rob Logan, submitted his application. The application states that the event is going to take place on Sunday, August 18th. All live musical entertainment, guitar for duo, soloist. According to the applicant, much the same way. An hour so listed on the application, 10 a.m. 6 p.m. During the road race, the music will Chair and Board, the applicant anticipates over 400 people attending the events. 2 mobile beer trailers are going to be staffed by certified. Police and fire rescue departments have reviewed the application. The commissioner application protocols and building options. Department.
okay, and is there someone here to represent the applicant? Just a reminder about these mics. Speak into them, okay?
My name's Alex Kahn. I'm the owner of Shipwrecked. Rob Lowen is not available tonight, so I came in to see if there are any questions and appreciate the consideration.
Questions from the board? No. Ms. Goldstone?
I guess my question is to fellow board members that if we were to approve this license, would it be with an expectation that sound be contained to the lot line, or would there need to be a variance or exception or conditions noted, given that this is outdoor entertainment in a fairly small parking lot, I think? And
Madam Chair, I'm sorry, the question was right. Based on past practice, the board has placed conditions such as should it be I'll make mention There's other conditions that the board in place. The hours of operation scheduled.
I would comment as a board member that we know that our entertainment bylaw or entertainment license parameters are really a goal rather than a strict adherence that's required. And I explained to a couple of people during the week, my understanding of it is the language in that entertainment license gives us the ability to curtail music when it comes to be a problem. When we realize that we've given an entertainment license to a business and it has a residence right behind it, then we have to take it to the letter of the rule that we have available. If it's not causing problems for neighbors, and maybe it's drifting over the lot line a little bit, as long as it's not bothering anybody or causing them loss of sleep or ruining their life, then we don't have to go to the extreme of what's in it. But what's in it gives us the leverage when we need it, because there's sometimes we have situations that we had not anticipated, and that's why we have it.
I would agree with Mr. Brown in that it memorializes what we're already doing. Mr. Muscali?
Yeah, if I may ask Mr. Khan, are you concerned with what you see as the event coming up and what our regulation is now with respect to noise in particular and granting an entertainment license? Do you see it as something that you're not going to be able to accede to, or you're going to take steps to, see that music is as lowly amplified as possible?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we've had 3 years under our belt, or at least I do, in this capacity, and we have made adjustments. Doug, you mentioned one of them was, somebody mentioned, we have now the speakers facing the ocean, right? So that was a big difference, and that we did that last year, and some of the neighbors thanked us for that. But it's a DJ. There's lots of people throughout the whole day, all over the place. The music is certainly louder than the courtyard in the afternoon when there's somebody just playing guitar. But it is a short period of time. It's during all of the activity. I haven't had any complaints directly to me, nor has Rob. And it's really a neighborhood business. So we talk to people all the time, and they're looking forward to it.
Is it a recommendation, Mr. Renshaw, that we talk about the hours? Has this been, brought up to Mr. Khan? Is there any interest in, or any agreement to lessen the hours, or have you thought about lessening it to earlier than 6 o'clock?
Yeah, we really, what we're doing is going by what worked last year. The hour shift hasn't ever even really come up, unless there's specific concern.
I think that Mr. Renshaw only mentioned that as an example, if I'm not mistaken, only as an example, as a condition. The board decided to put a condition on that. That is something that we certainly could do. I haven't had complaints about this personally in the last couple of years.
I haven't heard any complaints about it.
Mr. Zelinski?
Certainly, just be to hear. You see this something positive, try to help regulate. To commonize this, help case by case basis. I think that everything needs to be adjusted by way of abutters, hours, opposition. It's all fluid. Maybe that's how it reads. Doug successfully explained that this could be used as a tool to help mitigate some of this that we didn't have before. We didn't have any of it regulated. So I would ask community, business owners, this board, be a little patient how this rolls out and how we can effectively make everyone happy and successful. That would be my input.
Anything else from the board? We are struggling a little bit with our microphones. Please be patient. Okay, I'm going to ask for public comment on this application. Is there anyone here to make a comment on this particular application?
Hello, everyone. First of all, I want to thank the, nobody has ever suggested I speak louder my entire life. So I'm so grateful to the board. I'm not an experienced attendee at this meeting, and I'm so grateful for the devotion that you clearly have to the very best interests of Falmouth, and your knowledge and experience just makes me really proud to be a resident of Falmouth. My name is Colleen Brightboard, and I live on Eldona Ave in Falmouth, just a few blocks back from Shipwrecked. And I've watched the rebirth of that corner and what it's brought to Falmouth in general and that small part of Falmouth Heights in particular. And so this is what I wrote, but this is before. This one I had an emotional connection to the situation, and it's good that we have all of you who are looking at this from a more professional standpoint. But here's what I wrote. Given the extensive interior and exterior improvements made to the entire complex of buildings at the restaurant and adjoining hotel, I think the request to further serve both Falmouth residents and visitors in our area is immensely reasonable. That block had become very tired and was approaching seedy. As a year-round resident, I now drive or walk past that area several times a day, and it does my heart good to see young people and families enjoying themselves and spending their tourist and resident dollars there. Those dollars employ the residents of Falmouth and the surrounding areas, and like all our summer visitors, lessen the tax burden of residents by contributing to the town's coffers. It is critical to Falmouth's current and future diversity that we attract young people to Falmouth, as pointed out by Troy Clarkson in this week's Falmouth Enterprise, lest we become a one-dimensional retirement community. And as has been true for generations, nothing attracts young people like entertainment. The owner of Shipwreck took a monumental risk in revitalizing that area. He had no assurances that if he built it, they would come. And as the restaurant became successful, he poured more money into the Heights Hotel renovations, not into his pocket. It's more than reasonable to express our gratitude by granting this one-day license. As a matter of fact, I feel it's the very least we can do. Thank you to the board.
Thank you. Any other public comment regarding this application? Okay, seeing none, I would entertain a motion to close the hearing. Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion amongst the board? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Discussion amongst the board.
I would see no reason to curtail hours or make any other changes to the application. It's worked well for the last few years, so I would stay with it. I move approval.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion amongst the board? Seeing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you all. Appreciate it.
Okay, we're going to move into business, and our first up is Kathleen Haynes, Commission on Disabilities. Hang on, Ms. Haynes, we will get you a microphone. I have you slated for 15 minutes.
My name is Kathleen Haynes. I'm chairperson of the Commission on Disabilities. You have the report in front of you, but I will just reiterate, I am now the Commission on Disabilities, along with the ADA coordinator for the town. We've had one person time out with her three-year terms done. She's out for a year. And the other member had to resign because her husband is ill. She's going to take over the running of the business and the board of directors and everything else. So she felt best interest of herself and her family, she should resign. That leaves us with just me. I plan on going to the Falmouth Community Service Veteran Center to talk to them and see if they have any vets that would be interested. We've never had any vets on board, and we've got a lot we want to do. We're meeting with Lori Dower and Jeremiah Pearson, Peter McConaughey in August to talk about the mats for the schools and how the playgrounds are going to be made accessible. And from what I understand from Dr. Dower, it's going to be one playground a year, which is great, except there's 15 playgrounds. And one a year is not completely reasonable when you figure out how often the kids use the playgrounds at the schools. So we're going to discuss it in August, but there's nobody but me on the board. So there's no input from anybody but me. I think people are getting tired of my input. I'm the only one talking. We also have the play space at Goodwill Park we're working on. It's a large project. I've been involved in it 10 years now. And I've been fighting for the playground for 10 years. And I'll keep fighting. No matter if I'm on the commission or not, I'll keep fighting for that play space. And Tracy Chappelle and I, who is a member who just dropped off, were on the working group to choose the space to give to the select board to decide where it should be. It's ultimately chosen. I still have reservations. I'm not sure it's the right place because of the parking, the situation with Palmer Ave. I don't want to see accidents on Palmer Ave, and that hasn't been worked out. So I do have some reservations, and I think it's only fair to let people know that I am not 100% on board. We also had Jed Conant visit us several times. He updated the commission on how the Emerald property was progressing. He brought the parking plan sponsored by the planning board, and lastly, the open space and recreation study was brought to us last month to look over and to make notes and comments on. And the person will return in August and get those comments. We persevere, and hopefully that the select board will allow for an advertisement in the enterprise for members. It's the only thing I can think of other than going to different committees and seeing if there's interest. And there's only one of me, and I work odd hours, so it's hard for me to go from place to place to solicit members. So that's the report.
Thank you, Ms. Haynes. Any questions, Mr. Muscali?
No questions, just a comment. I had the pleasure of serving on the Commission on Disabilities a number of years ago when it was a pretty active commission, but I just want to say that the town owes Kathleen Haynes an immense debt of gratitude for keeping this commission going in the face of not having enough members to actually function as a working committee or commission. So thank you, Kathleen, for keeping it going.
Welcome.
Well said. Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to move into a report from the Historical Commission. And Mr. Haddad, I believe you have a PowerPoint, so you're going to go up to the podium.
Yep, I put it on.
And I have you slated for 15 minutes.
That's all?
Okay, for those of you who don't remember me, my name is Ed Haddad. I'm the co-chairman of the Historical Commission. I'm co-chairman with Christian Valley. This is my commission members. I have to say that you are blessed with a terrific committee. We have a very dedicated group of people who have been on it for quite a long time. I would say that at least for the last 8 years, we have not had an opening. People keep re-upping. We have certainly with Christian Valley, we have a very experienced and expert builder and materials person. We have a marketing person on there. We have an architect, a Falmouth architect. We have Tamsin George, who's a historian who was in charge of the Historical Society. Lee Drescher was on the Historical Commission. So we have a really ingrained, a very deep group of talented people who work very hard on this commission. I've been on the commission for 18 years. This is my last year. I'm going off, but the commission is, I think, in good hands. So just to remind the board and the audience that the Historical Commission in 2014, when the Select Board combined the Historic Districts Commission and the Historical Commission, we have two roles. We have a regulatory role, which was in the Historic Districts Commission, which is to issue certificates of appropriateness for exterior changes within the historic district, and really to maintain design guidelines and administer the demolition delay bylaw, which I will explain later. On the advisory side, which was really with the Historical Commission, we advise on the preservation of Falmouth's assets. We recommend applications for historic preservation funds for the CPC. They come to us and we issue them letters of recommendation. We hold the preservation restrictions for Mass Historic Commission and for the CPC. And lastly, we review a lot of design projects that people really may not be aware of, where we really don't have jurisdiction, but they come to us just because of their respect for the historic districts. We've worked with the Steamship Authority, both in the Palmer Street lot and in the Woods Hole lot, with the new terminal that they're putting in there. We worked with the Coast Guard when they put their new building in, the Chamber of Commerce. We were with them on their restorations. And until recently, we've worked on all of the 40B projects that have come up within the historic district. They come to us even though we don't have a regulatory authority over them. They respect the historical commissions, the historic districts, like I said, and we work with them and they work with us, and we've been very happy with that coordination. So that's our advisory role. So this is our history of regulatory activity. The 2023, we have had 106 applications. Of the 106 applications, 76 of those get approved administratively, and 30 actually have hearings where the applicants have to come into our board meeting and explain their application. So that means that we're approving administratively 50 to 80% over the years. And this year you see it's about 70%, which what that means is the applicant will get their building permit within 2 to 3 days. They don't have to wait for a hearing. They don't have to wait till the next month. They get their building permit. It's done. It works really between myself and the building department. I will explain to you what that means. So on the bottom, when we have an administrative approval, it's usually for repairs. It's for like material replacements and changes, new shingles, new roofing, a window replacement where they're just replacing a rotted window, things like that, insignificant changes. Those get done literally in hours. When we do have a hearing, that is for new construction, additions, changes affecting a house or building design, changes affecting architectural details, windows that are going to be changed, new porches, removal of porches, adding porches, dormers, removing dormers, adding dormers, etc. And then the other thing, like things, for example, like fencing. We will always have a hearing because we want to allow the abutters to have their say. Because we notify butters within 100 feet of the applicant property. And in cases where they might be affected, we want to make sure that the abutters have their chance to be at a hearing and tell us what they think about those things. So if there's something that might affect their neighbors, we will have a hearing on that type of thing as well. Now, the demolition delay bylaw, we administer that, and what the demolition delay bylaw mandates is that any request for a demolition of a house that is included on this list of significant buildings is automatically delayed 12 months. Now, what the bylaw does allow, though, is that the property owner can petition the Historical Commission for a waiver of that 12-month delay. So if they come in and the house is in such disrepair, it's rotted, termites, whatever that might happen, we can waive the delay. That's how we get involved in the demolition delay bylaw. So part of our activities in advisory, Tams and George, who I explained, is our historical commission on the CPC commission. She's also involved with the commission in the Book of Falmouth that we get involved with, and the old burying ground projects that the DPW is administering right now. Christian Valley is our HC representative on the Edward Marks Advisory Committee, which is in the restoration of the exterior of that building. I'm also on that committee. And then we also maintain that list of significant buildings that I just referred to that is on the demolition delay bylaw. So some of the other things that we get involved with, as I said, the Edward Marks building, the funds have been secured for phase 1 and 2 of that restoration. It's about to get started, I think, in the late summer, fall, phase 1 and 2. But the committee itself put the plans together, got the funds from CPC, and we secured about $600,000 or $700,000 worth of restoration funds for that building, saving the town. This is a town-owned building. Like we work with the DPW on the old burying ground restoration, which is it's in process, not the restoration of the grounds, but the restoration of the gravestones itself. We're working on Washburn Island. If you're not familiar with Washburn Island in Waquoit Bay, that was the site of a very important World War II military activity. They actually trained the troops there for the invasion of Normandy, which many people in Falmouth really aren't aware of. So we're trying to memorialize that. We're also finding out that there's a Wampanoag architectural issue there, that the Wampanoags have a tribal history on Washburn Island. I just had a phone call with the Department of Cultural Resources for the state, and they're working on this. They're going to document it. They're actually going to assign consultants and researchers to document all that's going on in Washburn Island so we can get a documentation and maybe ultimately a National Register designation for Washburn Island for its historic value. We're working with a group that has come to us. They would like to get the Book of Falmouth reprinted. We're working on to see if that's possible. It's out of print. We've lost the original plates. The last edition, I think, are sold out. They were sold by the bookstores, and we're trying to see if we can save that very valuable document of our history. And then lastly, if you recall, I was here a few weeks ago to talk about historic district markers. I'm just going to go to that. Just to remind you, this is what we've proposed. We proposed 11 markers throughout the historic districts, and those are where we plan to assort them. And that's an example of what the marker looks like. That's what we presented to your board when I presented this initially. We're working with the planning department to get that funded, and then certainly with the DPW about getting them installed at the time once we get the funding for that done. So it's kind of a joint effort with the three groups, historic, planning, and DPW, to get these installed right now. And lastly, this is one thing I wanted to include because there's always discussion about historic district and materials and how restrictive the historic commission is, and they don't allow people to do anything. And so I wanted to show you some of the newer materials that we have been approving, especially with the help of our board, with Johanna as the architect and Christian in the building industry. We've been able to identify some materials that we feel work. They're relevant. We feel if you're in that business, you know that current woods are not what they used to be. They're not as good as they used to be anymore. And some of the newer materials are superior, and we think we can make them work even on a historic property. So we have approved extruded PVC decking and railing systems with a matte finish, extruded PVC fencing with that same matte finish, PVC trim, we have just recently approved that this year. So like trim around windows and corner boards and along the flood line, the foundation lines, we approved PVC. Has to be painted, but we've approved PVC trim. A lot of wood alternative products like Boral, Lifespan, Fibrex and Ultrex, those are alternate windows. They have a wood product, but they're a much more durable and sustainable product for windows that are acceptable in the historic districts. Clad windows on non-historic homes and new construction. We've recognized that we don't try to pretend that new construction is historic. We're not trying to pretend that. So we have allowed like an Anderson type of a window, a vinyl clad window on new construction. And on newer homes that are not historic. Urethane for signs, we've been shown by the sign makers that this urethane, this blown urethane product is actually better than wood. It lasts longer, it's more durable to the weather. They can carve in it, they paint it. It's a beautiful sign, you wouldn't know the difference. So we've approved that for the signs along Main Street, especially. A lot of the signs that are there now are urethane. You wouldn't know the difference as long as they're painted. And fiberglass, certainly for doors, gutters, and shutters. Again, as long as they're painted, a more durable product and more sustainable. What we do not approve, however, and we do have our limits, vinyl siding, cement siding, in other words, hardy board, vinyl windows, not vinyl clad, but an all vinyl window, chain link fences, vinyl shutters, PVC fences and railing system. This is that shiny vinyl that you see. It's not what I spoke to before, the extruded PVC. This is that shiny when you see a fence and your headlight hits it and it reflects back to you. That's not what we're talking about here. And on signage, we do not approve vinyl signs or vinyl lettering on signs. So that's our only limitations pretty much. For the most part, people that come to us that live in historic districts are proud of their houses, and they're proud of being in the historic district. They try to do the right things. We very rarely get people coming to us with inappropriate changes. It's amazing how people come in and they want to maintain their houses and they want to maintain the historic district. So, and with that, I want
Any questions from the board? Comments? Go ahead, Mr. Brown.
I just would comment and thank Mr. Haddad and the commission for their willingness to become, more acquainted with these modern materials. They do work well. As a contractor, I've been before the commission, and I find them very easy to work with. And I appreciate that because it keeps people coming rather than trying to sneak it by you.
Yeah.
There's no reason to try to sneak it by you because you guys are very willing to work with people. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very informative. Okay, we are going to move into our business number 3, consider the adoption of the Falmouth Affordable Housing Fund Board of Trustees Funding Allocation Guidelines as amended. Ms. Fish, and you're going to stay up there for 3, 4, 5, and 6.
And 7 and 8 if you want me. For the record, I'm Kim Fish, the housing coordinator for the town of Falmouth, and I'm here just to request that you, as the Board of Trustees of the Falmouth Affordable Housing Fund, adopt the amended Falmouth Affordable Housing Fund Board of Trustees funding allocation guidelines to include language for pre-development costs. We have an application, and you'll see it coming up, that triggered this change just because it's something that we really haven't been doing in the past. And we really wanted to incorporate it into the guidelines, so we have, so it's clear for us as the working group, for you as the trustees, for the CPC and the developer. We want to be very careful. We only have so many funds, so we want to be very careful with funding pre-development costs, because it's so early in the project. There's really no guarantees that that is going to go forward. So we wanted to make it clear that we're going to use it sparingly, and we're going to use it for specific details of the proposed project, current level of availability of funding, and number of projects already in the funding queue. Those are the things we're really going to look at before we make any recommendations to the town manager to send to you.
Questions? Mr. Muscali?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Kim. I think this is a great idea, something that I think is definitely needed. I understand that it's kind of, just at the inception, it hasn't been done before. Two questions. One is the 25,000 on top of the 150, or is it within the 150 that we're allocating for projects?
I think it would be separate.
So it
We
would be
haven't-
150 plus
Yep.
a separate category for 25 for the pre-development cost?
Yeah.
And my second question is, did you think of adding any of other potential pre-development costs other than, permitting materials? I'm thinking in particular, first of all, with all due respect, I think the wording "such as" is kind of limiting because it's comparative to permitting, whereas maybe the language should be including but not limited to, like we have elsewhere. When you say "such as," it's kind of making anything such as permitting materials, where there might be other costs that might be relevant. And did you think of or consider putting in other possible pre-development costs that might be used? For instance, hiring professionals, just professional and market study, appraisals, things of that nature, as opposed to just permitting material.
Well, the permitting, all of that is considered permitting material, because it's all of that is supporting documentation to get to the point that you're going to be filing a permit. So it's the feasibility studies, so all of that is inclusive. That's where we went with that wording.
Just doesn't say that, that's all.
Mr. Brown?
I would maybe suggest you could just add as, but not limited to, if you wanted to have a little more flexibility.
Sure.
Yeah, and I'd certainly let people know what you understand the concept permitting materials to be, that it is, that type of thing that we that you just discussed.
And I do think we go through that in our working group.
We do, because we'll receive an application, and then we'll go through the application in detail and see. Again, it was such as, more as an example, not a list, an itemized list of everything that we consider pre-development costs.
Ms. Goldstone?
Really like this idea, very open to the idea. I'm just curious, you already mentioned we have limited funds and potentially multiple projects to be supporting, and I'm curious whether you think that funding of this scope at this stage in the process, is this potentially like a make or break for certain projects to get that $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 for pre-permitting, or is this kind of a nice boost for some of those projects?
Well, I think that that's what we're going to be taking into consideration when we're reviewing the application at the working group phase. We're going to take it as a whole, each application by application. For instance, you'll see the next application, it is in support of a grant And we're able to condition it in such that either we don't grant it or they would have to pay the money back. So that's a perfect example of how it would work in that particular application. So we would take it application by application.
Any other questions from the board?